Okay. Um, um, yeah, could you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot for coming. It's a pleasure to be here. This is the first time that I have to do this conference. It's a new one, you know. It's not really new, but it's a mix of some others that I did. I think it's going to be a little bit confused because my English is not really rich, and my Chilean ideas about architecture are not really clear. And then it's a combination not really good for a conference, but we're going to try to do the best as possible in my way, you know. To have a contest that you have to imagine my work. My work is, I live and I work in Chile, just far away from here, means the less is 12 hours from here. And I work with 4 other people, just this for a long time, because my mind is not really big to manage more people in my office. And at the same time, I have to say I have 57 years old. That is not too much, but it's something, you know, it's important. But I think I have some experience in architecture. You know, after some 30 years of work or something like that, you could get some experience. And this experience permits you to do things, to resolve problems of architecture really fast. That is really good, you know. The experience plus, for example, prejudice or some ephemeral convictions give the sensation of freedom, that you could resolve things really without thinking too much about the things. You have to resolve it. And that gives you the sensation of maybe a fake sensation of freedom, you know, and that is really good for me. But to experiment here in this conference is to try. I want to say really clear is how means to apply some strategies that give you the opportunity to push away a little your own work. I'm not talking about architecture, I'm talking about my work in the architecture. It gives you the opportunity to expand your own work more than the architectural ambience, you know. This conference is about some of these strategies that I want to explain to you. I will show you this strategy through some projects, some, I don't know, some projects, some ideas of projects. Something are really in the beginning, others are just buildings, you know. These projects are from the last 5 years, more or less, not older than that, and then almost of them are not building, but I think it's a good way to speak about architecture, about the ideas, more than projects. The project at the end you could see on the web all around the world, and on a conference it's not really good strategy, you know. And then I want to show you, I would like to start with this explanation of a strategy, to show you this project that it's really, I really think it's a good open, because it has an idea that I'm just going to explain later that is really important for me and my work that I'm doing right now. The elements you could see here on this picture, it's on the left. You could see the first project that I will talk is about the theater in Bio Bio. Maybe you see the pictures on the web, or maybe you could be there, and sometimes you have been there in a time, I don't know. But the important thing of this project, that these 2 images that you see is the key of the project, the key of the process of the project, and the key of the images of the final project that you could feel when you go to the building, I think. On the left, you have this beautiful sculpture by Martin Puryear. This sculpture is, you know, it's you could see there a mobile plinth It's a wheelbarrow, you know. On the top of this, you have a really dense framework, wooden framework, really dense. An open space, this face, blank space, is a face, you know. It's a really incredible, beautiful idea, a dance with the biggest space in the middle. And on the left hand, you have this beautiful image by this emballage by Tadeusz Kantor. Tadeusz Kantor, you know, is the director, Polish director that is has this radical theater on the 50s. This is an emballage. Emballage as Kantor says, emballage was an attempt to sniff out the nature of the object. It's something, the emballage permits you to hidden something and to promise something on the interior. You really don't know what happened. There is an absent space in the space that you have to discover later. The theater is really simple. The structure is a slab foundation, really thin, I mean 30 centimeters, something like this. This foundation, slab foundation, is just rest on the sand, compact sand on the riverbank, you know, really near to the river. This slab foundation work with a slab of the first floor with some diagonals of the perimeter. These both slabs make a really strong, really diaphragm. On the top, you could we hidden the space of the theater, the halls and the dense framework that you could see, that you saw before on the Martin Puryear structure. Here are some images that I like so much. This is the engineering plan of the slab foundation. That is, for me, it's something that reassumes really the project, and two images of the models of that show the skeleton of the building, the real that we want to produce, and a skeleton, and the hidden that skeleton to the space. And the project is in the city. The importance of this building is the scale of that. It's really huge. You could see here on the border of the river. This is the biggest river that you could find in Chile, and this is a view from the river. You know, really opaque on the. By day, the layer on the facade is a PTFE membrane. You don't have 2 layers or 3 layers, just one layer between the interior and the exterior. And then when you have the trip around the building, you are inside of a circus. You know, it's the same sensation. They are not double facade or trip or another kind of. And this is the view from the city. You know. It's big as 40 by 100 meters long. This is the entrance and opaque volumes, you know, the back. And here you are inside, you know. This is a hall, and on the halls you always walk around this dense framework of concrete. The model is really really dense. I mean 3.90 centimeters, 3 meters. You know, it's a curved framework, and you work around it. You walk around these models, but you have to get into after this trip. You have to get into this biggest space that's open, the space in the middle of this framework. The scale of this is really huge, and it's really strange in Chile. You could not find easily this kind of a scale there. This is by night. We lighting really bad. We don't want homogeneous lamp lighting because we want to show the skeleton inside, just the real materiality of the project. And again, from outside, this is the last view of this project. But the important thing that I want to talk about this building is the idea of trimming or degrease, if you want, to take out the fat of the skeleton, you know. At some point during the competition, we agreed with Eduardo Castillo and Gabriela Medrano to avoid certain, you know, sensation of domestic scale that always are around of most Chilean public architecture. You always feel in the Chilean public architecture that you are in a domestic space, really smaller than they have to be. And we want to broken this idea. I'm talking about not the square meters, I'm talking about presence, urban presence, air, space, and not square meters. You know, it's something about the volumes. The strategy was to produce a large volume using the same budget. And if you want to do this, a large volume with the same budget, to resolve this idea, you must to trim the building. You must to get out the fat. You have to degrease it. And you have to understand the project as a skeleton, not in the sense of bones, in the sense of, you know, one layer for each things, and to talk about the project as infrastructure. And I want to talk about infrastructure. Infrastructure in this conference means three things that for me are important because I'm using or trying to use in this moment in two projects that two ideas of project that I will show you. The first thing is the possibility to create a presence, you know, where the image match exactly with the material support. You know, that is really important, and this notion appears really clear in too many buildings which are in a renation process. You know, that idea of trimming, it's appear in a renation process, and it's really, in some times, there are really beautiful product of this kind of renation. The second idea is an idea that I love, that is the idea of pretty ugliness, or maybe to say something, the ugliness idea. The ugliness, I feel the ugliness or ugliness invite to an easy appropriation from others. The others could fill in the blank spaces of the structure, or they could complete the structure really easily. Because the ugliness has not the sensation of aura of the beauty, you know. They are not occupied the sensation of don't touch me. The ugliness sense is a feel of experimentation, you know. And this idea is really important, I think, in my way of view. I'm showing this project, this you know, structure on these samples because I want to show these ruins because some of these projects are made by engineering, no architecture, and some of them, most of them are producing on time. They are not subordinated under one control concept, formal control concept. They are just doing on time, and they just coordinated some stages of this one, following normally a condition of utility. That is really the important things around it. And then the other thing is this idea is about not to subordinate at one point of view, just coordinate stages on. Who could work in that way? Here in England is Cedric Price, of course. It's working in that way, you know, in my point of view. If you look this fantastic tower, water tower, you know, it's really incredible because you could not understand how is the different levels going one under the other one. You could not understand the decision of the builders on how they do it, but they thinking about it. They thinking a lot, but it's something. This coordination between them produce really unexpectable forms that I love it, you know, because I could not produce, and that is really important. Again, to know what are your limits. You are not produce this because your formal, intellectual producing. You are inside of academic world that you have to produce a control of everything. And then there are no continuity, formal continuity, but at the end, the formal sensation surprising, or maybe surprising me, just this. I will show you two projects where there are, in some case, this ugliness, this kind of trimming, and at the same time, partially the idea that I promised before. I think these two projects are not successful because just on the beginning, and for be successful, they have to be building, because I could build in their rawness, you know, and that's it. The first one is this. The first is a care center for the periphery in Chile. That is something that we are working for 2 months, just 2 months. It presents this structure that is not really beautiful. It's coming from some decisions. One is about the scale. The scale of this building is to take from this water tower that you could see there. The water tower was built in Santiago in the 60s, at the end of the 60s, and at that time, that means for the people, means for the periphery, the flat periphery around these buildings, means healthy, means hygiene, means at the same time, you know, progress, and represent at the end the presence, the care presence of the state in the middle of the people. You know, it's right now they are abandoned, they don't work, but they are as a monument. You know, and I thought that it's still a good scale for the periphery. It's still assigned in the middle of the urban space, and then the format is really important for me in this case. The other things that we thought that they are really simple and really in the beginning was the massivity of the columns, you know, the real massivity, how much they have to be to take out to how do you say it? To resist the earthquake, and the massivity of the structure, the regularity. This is important to be. Because if it's simple or maybe silly structure, it could be understood for any builder all around Chile, and they could build all around it. It's not a problem to understand these things. The other decisions are the position of the stairs, the escape of the stairs, and some corridors on the perimeter, just to has you know, a life on outside of the volumes. Next step that we have to do is to fill in, to complete the blank spaces that we didn't start yet, because we have to wait the input from a private foundation that care about the relationship between young people, fragile young people, and old people who are living together in this building. And this filling it, I think to test this filling it, I have to do it first, you know, before others. I have to complete these blank spaces before. We start with this kind of images that came from you know, an exhibition that we did many years ago in Hermes Gallery in Tokyo. The name with Marcela Correa, the name is The Wardrobe and the Mattress. This is the inside the space and the outside, the compact. We start to work in the sensation of a compact idea from the outside and the really translucent idea from the inside. This volume has a screen. How does a screen of 1 millimeter of wood, and then the light is translucent in skin. If we could create in some moments these kind of spaces or similar to that, it's gonna be great, I think. But at the end, the program is really silly. You know, we have a ecosystem, artificial ecosystem on the top, where as a square, you know, or as a park or garden, whatever. Then in the other floors in the middle, you have some scenes that we have to There are going to be some workshop or some rooms for community dance or that kind of things, or community activities that have to be proposed for this foundation. And on the bottom level, it's going to be just the city. The city has to be appropriated this space. It's just really simple. All of this idea it's really that ideas which is coming from coming from many other construction, and this is the image of the beginning of this project. The second one, it's another. I have water here. It's another project that it's a winery in the Argentina. Mendoza, Argentina. It's really funny because it's the other side of Andes Mountain. We are here, and this project is here. And it's so funny to see the Cordillera just from the other side. It's a little bit weird. But this project is going to be in the flat space and flat field, with the Cordillera, the Andes Mountain as a background. But right now you are seeing the ruins of winery that was built in Chile in the 40s, what I like of these kind of things, I like the sensation, but I could say the client make a trip in Chile, and he likes so much the big winery. Maybe it's a project that we project years ago, where everything is, you could see the machines, everything, the process is on it, But we hidden a little some other things, and I'm really not really happy about this sensation, but at the end, the process, the area of the process was really successful. And I like this structure because it doesn't hidden the sensation of industrial process, in the way that the people understand this kind in the 40s, everything, you could see everything, and you could see the process of winery inside, some in relation, and I love the sensation that this process, this industrial process, some relation of chemistry, and not really about some concept that I don't like so much, the idea of terroir and this kind of concept that it's around the idea of wine, it's a lot of myth. I prefer to conceive the winery as an industrial process, but and as a business at the same time, Then this is the first image of our winery, new winery. I like to show the winery as a beautiful industrial process, which on this mountain collapse, because it's not in this building. It's not just industrial building, it's just business building. I mean collapse in it many other things more than the process. You have the process, the winemaking, but at the same time you have the life, some rooms for the owners, staff work, you have some areas for the visitor. Then all of them is going to be in the same place, because all of them is part of the business more than and the business is part of the process of the industrial process, and we want to show all of them and not to hidden some of part of that and show just some beautiful parts. And then there are no backstage in that sense, and this is possible, and these kind of things is possible because the process and the visitor not always are producing in the same time. Well, here you have the plant. It's really easy to understand that you have a main here. The entrance, then you have a part of the process of here, and you have the area for the visitors here. Hanging of this area, there are some rooms or an apartment and a hanging swimming pool. On the top you have the terrace for the visitor, the area for the workers that begin in the wine making, and on the bottom level that is a plinth, just it's a plinth that is up of the level of the side level, more or less 1.40 meters, just to give the binders as a grass. Where you have, of course, the barrels and the test, and here you have a storage, for the wine. And this is really simple, and this is the things. And then I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a good project. All of this is just involved in a ring mesh of inox, and that gives you the sensation of a ghost or something like this, not really clear ambience, This is the view from the outside, and where you see the barrels, etc. And this is the view where the visitors and the rooms for the owners and for the rents are there. Just one space where you could, all of these things collapse in the same history, in the same idea of production and business, Another project that the last project showed us the idea of artifact, something that is really clear, separated from the nature landscape, Nature is, in this case, is really artificial. It's not nature. It's not natural. It's nature. Something that you have to build. But the next project is an hotel, in the middle of Spain, in Matarraña. It's a project that we start to work in 2017, and we're still working right now. It's in between Aragon and Catalonia. And this is an image of a film that the name is A Matter of Life and Death by Powell. It is really beautiful, this text that you could see is the beginning of the film, talk too much about my architecture. I feel really represented by these texts. But the project is really easy to understand because it's how to touch the terrain, how to touch the ground, And we produce an infrastructure. This infrastructure is just a slab that is it's moving on 50 centimeters up to the level of this level. It's just separated from the ground just 50 centimeters. In another places, just 5 meters. In one level. This slab has the scope to sign an area in the middle of nature and sign a urban area in the middle of nature, not enclosing them, but this is a way. I bring this photo because this is a way how we touch in Andes Mountain the terrain. You don't know where the nature and the artificial it's started. There is a mixed in Europe, normally the limits are really fixed, are really, in my point of view, I'm not saying that, because in my point of view, I feel that the limits are really clear. And then when appear this image of this African village at the African village, I really understand this sensation of limits. They put this wall and these shelters. They want to be separated from the nature because the nature is a little bit hostile there. And this both imagine the film image with this image of the primitive come together when I found this wooden piece. I found this wooden piece from the Marcela Correa studio, and when I saw these pieces, I say, okay, this is the project. This is the project, and this is the way how I could touch the ground without damage too much the old things, And I take out this rest of an sculptor, and I used this just literally to produce the first model in a scale 1:200, you know. And at the end, it's a collage of pieces of wood that permit me to review this slab on the terrain. And we put, after that, the same clever, you know, the same clever holes that there is a random, permit me to imagine the rooms. And then the project, the infrastructure of this project is the slab, and then you put the room more or less random on outside. And then you walk around this protected area to be in really connection with the nature. And it's important to have this idea of shelter in the middle of to have this freedom, because the idea is you have in relation with the nature, not just because the view, it's just how you occupy the territory. And then we propose the solotel not like a pieces of wood or a pieces of rooms one together to each other. It's more like a tent. That's random. Those have to be random on the landscape. This is the final shape. You know, the first shape we take literally from the wood pieces, and we a little bit move it around the shapes. This was the last geometry. Here you could see some images of the project. This is the swimming pool. It's a point of arriving. It's the access of the project at the end. And here you could see the project, the final shape of the project. You come here. Here there's a parking underground. You know, you never will see the parking. You have this ramp. You have here the swimming pool. The swimming pool is a bowl, a perfect bowl, you know, and orange one, as the lagoon that I showed you before. And then you have these random pieces of shelters that I will explain you later. Here you have more or less 5 meters from the ground, and here you have 50 centimeters from the ground. And downstairs here you have the restaurant and service of the project. It's really easy. It's 250 meters longer. You know, it's part of the landscape more than one object. But the idea of trimming and the idea of artifact is still there. You know, this is the way how occupy the territory and the skyline of the project. And here is the shelter. The shelter is a round shelter where you have a mesh ring from outside. You have glasses, and then you have a panels of like a mattress, you know, inside that give the insulation. Then from inside you will have a really soft surface. From outside something really cool if you want. This is the interior space, you know, what I described before. The ceiling and the bathroom is aluminum, like an airplane. And this is the images. This is the entrance by car, and this is the entrance by the ramps, you know, all around it. It's just again, it's the sensation how to bring the nature inside without touch, you know. And here you could see the swimming pool. It's orange. We saw some beautiful, you know, orange ceramic that they use for Santa Caterina project in the Enrique Miralles on the roof. It's a kind of that, I think. Here you could see the slab, how it's moving around the ground. Here you have the film view. You know, it's really 5 meters far away on the top, and here you have the view, some view, the theater. This is the restaurant. The structure of I'm really happy because Miquel Mariné, the team of Miquel Mariné in Barcelona is working as a local architect, and Bufrau it's the engineering of Enrique Miralles. It's part of the project, and we made a structure that you have a bowl on the top and and on the bottom you have a bolt, and then it's really incredible because that gives you the possibility to have an open space to the landscape, really huge, about 20 meters without reinforced the structure. And this is by night. I don't know. It's part of. It's by night. Is the way how this village, small village, is in the landscape. You know. Okay. This is the entrance of the solo hotel, the hotel that you see before. The hotel is in the top of the hill, and then this is the other project that is an existing building that you could find on the bottom of the hill near to the road. Then you have the road here. This is a winery, you know. This is vineyards. There is a lot of vineyards here, and we have to repair these volumes, this volume, and this volume. This is a farmer house. This is a cellar wine house, and this is a storage one. And this project open the discussion, and other strategy is how to repair something. But I did at the end. At the end, it's a really easy to. I mean, the regulation of the place doesn't permit you to do something else. It doesn't permit you to add another volume, and then you have to work with these three volumes. This volume that has this beautiful plan, you know, that this beautiful plan, the storage one, and the farmer's house, you know. And we did from outside. We apply some concrete slab just to fix these volumes in the middle of the landscape, just to try to fix it, not to try to get some geometry that could be do it, that this place is working. These three elements works together. And then this is the road, and the entrance is not like this. That happened today. It's going to be like this, and like this to the solo hotel. You will do this. This is the entrance of the place that you could see here, between the storage and the venta place. You know, the wine cellar place, and we fix it with these elements of concrete. You know, and that's it, and geometry. And here we propose a courtyard, no more than this, because the limit of the building, you could not touch the limits of the building. I mean, you have to work with that, not with other things, you know. And for the interior space, we did more or less the same. We just worked with the limits. This is the section of the venta. We call venta, but it's a cellar space, you know. It's a really beautiful plan, but the geometry you could not see from inside because you have a lot of small rooms. And what we did, we take out the middle slab, and then when we take out the middle slab to recognize all of the spaces. When you take out this, the perimeter suffer a lot. The perimeter will suffer a lot. And because that, we start to work with a kind of plinth or raft of black concrete inside that, and this black concrete is complete the holes of the windows and then you will see these things, this space from outside as completed of the window, and we maintain the windows of the top just to get the sunlight from outside. And then the interior space, it's getting, this is the line where we cover from inside. More or less, this is the view of the inside space, you know. And these are on the top, you could see the real materiality, and on the bottom, some renders that they're okay, but this is the final idea. And then the idea is to use the regulation to keep a new space from something that you could not read, the geometry on the plans of this volume. This is the view of the facade that is going to be complete by this concrete plinth from inside, and this is the volume of the storage that the client want to destroy because it's not really beautiful, if you want to say. But I say this ugliness is getting to help. It's to push us to help and to try to find a way to transform in another way, and we have to do it because we need these square meters, and then we just propose this kind of facade. We empty with filling with concrete, and we are gonna have bathrooms and storage here with this facade. I think it's gonna be beautiful. I think so. It's gonna be really strong. I think this. I like this sensation of fragility in contrast with this strain of this strange view of the final volume. But at the end, I'm talking about how to repair something. Repairing and restoring are really different actions. I like the idea of repairing something. Repairing means to manipulate or to push a common object into its capacity for being in the present and be present. And not because it has a memorable past, it's something it's like a stand-up, something, to push something to stand up. You have to know how to help the object to survive, thinking in its future and not trying to understand its past. This phrase, this text by Cantor is really beautiful. An object reveals to us its essence just before it is destroyed, between the landfill and eternity. And this is a project of we call chanchera. Chanchera is a shed that you could find that we found in the south of Chile. It's a part of the family of beautiful small Chilean rural sheds. The real value right now of these kind of buildings in Chile, normally the eco architects, they destroy and they got this wood as a material, as a raw material, and they recycling all of this material in a new building. But with this kind of action, you really lost something that, for me, appear really important. You really lost the culture concept. You really lost a fragile knowledge of a fragile sensation of the things, and then we want to rescue this project, this idea, not the wood, the structural system and the way to understand how was the construction 120 years ago. 120 years ago, the nails in Chile was really expensive, and then these builders, they has to do something really clever. They have to do a lot of three-dimensional joints, to not use a lot of nails, and but he did with a small section of wood that is really impressive, because you have you have pieces of wood of 12 by 12 centimeters of section that is really thin, and this fact gave the richness of the factory. The richness of the factory is an elegant poverty, fragile construction. No money than the wooden columns that you see in the middle of this photograph. The wooden columns are buried straight on the ground. They are just completed in the middle of the ground and suffer damage and rotting. The base of these columns are always damaged with the humidity. This shed was used as warehouse, later as a horse stalls, and finally as a hog farmhouse. Because that we call chanchera. The beautiful of the image on the bottom. It's a comura setae scene that is really beautiful, because in this, it's a red space, you know, and show the humidity and the sensation of weathering that you could feel in these columns, you know. And the project is in between these. That it was a project that we did many years ago in our place. It's repairing this really poor structure in between this and this color. Then we made we have to transport this structure from this side that was in a slope to a flat plain, more or less 30 kilometers from here. And we made a scanner, you know, really exactly. We want to reproduce really exactly, not exactly in the same. We want to know where the position of the things. The repairing condition, it's only concerns itself with making something useful again, and that is really important. To something, you could repair something if this structure could resist a trip, but not a trip on the time, you know, if it resists the idea of to be present again, you know. There are no turning back, you know. If you have to take out some pieces of this wooden, you have to cut it, you know. And we cut it, all of these columns, because they are rotting, you know. And it was, and we maintain the geometry, the position, but we take out all of the things that are not useful. And again, here the slope and the condition on where we cut it, this structure. Then here you have the position of the things really exactly. We really do it. And then this was the model, that it was the existing models, and here is our proposal, you know. And our proposal is in this drawing. Our strategy was just to have a flat plane here, to propose a flat plane. It's a concrete flat plane, you know, in the middle of this site, and to put over this flat plane this structure that is coming from other side. This is the detail that you see where the joint on three-dimensional joint are developed, really beautiful one. This is a red visitors structure, like a final scenario of this space. But the important thing of this that we reproduce for the house. We did this catalog of pieces that was part of what these pieces are, the pieces that we cut it, you know, and some of them, the pieces that we know that exist before, but they are not there, you know, and we replace all of the wooden pieces for just concrete pieces, but the concrete pieces is 12 by 12, just really thin. It's like it's really, really thin, and then we made all of them just to replace here and to put over on the bottom, on the top, this structure. And that's it. It was, well, this is the plan. The plan is really easily to understand, one volume and the others. This is the top level, you know. And this is the section. The section is, we try to show fragility. Then the ceiling that you could see from inside is the same roof that you could see from outside. Then you could not understand too much how is the insulation in between them. The details I'm talking is about here, you know. And here are the really special pieces of concrete that we put it just to take the existing structure. This is the rendered from inside, and here are the atmosphere that present to the client. Here is the interior space. Here you could see all these pieces are different. When something left, we propose the same piece but in concrete, and the sensation it's really incredible, because in some moments, for example, here, when you have these these pieces of concrete, if you left alone, this piece is a little bit fragile and then go down a little bit, 2 centimeters on the top, you know, and then this piece works really good on compress, but doesn't work really good on traction, and then it's need the wooden structure around it. Both structures are really collaborated because they are both in the same fragile construction. And this is the top level, you know. Here you could see here you could see the ceiling. This is the same of the outside ceiling. And this is this house was ended, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, you know. And then I don't have really good pictures from outside. It's just pictures from the friend of clients. But you could imagine the ambience of this kind of this kind of object, how is going on right now. This is the visits pavilion. Some teams remind the Komura Setai object, you know. It's a red inside, outside, all around. All the rooms are red, and I like so much this idea of a backstage as a lamp, you know. This is a winter garden in one of the corridors. Again, from outside, this is a detail of the stairs that it's really complex. In some moments, we did some. In some moment, we did some elements like these columns. It's 50 by 50. It's just, we don't need it, but we just put it there to contrast with the other section, you know, to broken the homogeneity of the concrete, and to say, okay, we need more massive expression in some points to give to the structure more the sensation of fragility more clear, you know. This is another project. I'm gonna go fast in this. We call Room. It's in Chilean, an island far away, maybe 12 hours from by car from Santiago, and it's really it's the first project. This is I will show you really fast 3 stages of this project. The first one was this, that there was a structure that we did with one detail. We want to produce one structure, one detail. Is this framework, wooden framework without nails, you know. We don't have money to build this, and then we just did this. It's just in one floor with some volumes on the top. And that is, we did, you know, on the bottom you have these, just one room, the kitchen and the bathrooms, the stairs and some volumes on the bottom, that one room, and here a door and the machine here. And when we did this, that is coming here in the 95, it's gonna really cool, you know, but we have a lot of problem of raining, you know. It's, I mean, these volumes on the top, it was not so clever, you know, and because it was not so good building. And, but the interior space was really, at that time, really cool, you know, and it's a really, really beautiful, I think. And you, in this first stage, you could see what we maintain in all the others. It's one floor, one level, that you are in the top of the hill, and you could see the trees in the middle part of the trees, you know, and the sensation is you are floating in the middle of the forest. And the second level is just something that you occupy. Sometimes it's not something that you have to occupy always, you know. And we maintain this always, but after that we put a tent because the family grow up, and we need more space for rooms and whatever, and we put this tent like really fragile and really lightness on the top, because this is the structure of the base structure we could not use with too much weight on the top, and we propose this. It's at the end it's a red tent that then here the project is getting more hybrid, and I like so much this sensation of to go ahead with a sensation of living inside, you know. And the first floor is getting more disorder and more beautiful disorder, I think, more beautiful life, I think. The top is going to be a play for expansion activities of the family. After in 2028 or something like this, someone stole all of our thing there. The kitchen, the beds, you know, everything, the plates, and everything was stolen, and it was really terrible for us. We didn't go again to the place, and we sold them. Just we said, because normally we are really appreciative about the remains more than the places, you know. The places are part of the remains more than the places by themselves. For us, it was really shock to thinking about it, and we sold them without go to rescue anything, you know. And after this year, after that, the guy who bought this place sold it to other one, this to other one, and this to other one. And the last one came to me this year to renovate the house, the beginning of the house, something that I did in 1995. That is really incredible, because it's something that really, he asked before to other two architects that the project are really good, not bad, but they are trying, you know, this house is a little myth in the Chile for the academic, you know, ambience. They show a lot to the students, you know, and there was young architect that the architect that has to repairing this house, and they don't want to do. They are really scared to touch too much. But what we did, we start to thinking in the house last something, you know, that is there, an object, and we just maintain these levels, you know, the level we add in the geometry of the volumes that I talked at the beginning of the first stage with the same geometry, because we thought that it was good to not have a bridge or a corridor or whatever, just to touch both volume on the corner, and maintain the room, and maintain the second level like a space of extension, not that because we could not build a real space, interior space, because the weight of the structure, it could not. And on the bottom, on the other side, this other volume, it's just rooms, and it's more conventional. This volume, we thought this volume as a, you know, it's a little bit Aldo Rossi volume. There are some images that I want to show you, but at the end, these are, in both volumes, you have the expansion of the houses on the top. Both are polycarbonate, something really cheap and really, really beautiful and strange. And you have this transparent structure on the top, and that's it, the project, you know, to maintain these two levels. And I think it's going to be beautiful, these things, you know, this kind of ambience. This is they're still working for 6 months. I think it's in 1 year it's gonna end. I would like to show this picture, because this, you know, it's you know, when you see the final pictures that I show you, it's after this, you know. It's so difficult to do it. I think it's more, we have more effort in that kind of things that you in Europe, you know. It's really terrible to go to the places that it's a really beautiful landscape, and then you have mattress and plastic bottles all around it, and you could not say anything, because this is the way, you know. And this is the space on the top. Anyway, here I would like to talk about reference. It's another strategy that I will show you. to take a reference as a beginning of a project is a really good strategy that permits you to take away the idea of blank or white paper from the beginning. You could start from something, you know. And for someone who, as me, that we are not creators of forms and shapes, it's a really beautiful, because you could get it beautiful forms from others. You could cut from others or from some objects, and you could manipulate it, and you could start, and you could get maybe some forms that you could never imagine before, and you could never do it. But the problem of the project when starting a reference, they have to maintain attention on the project. If you are so close to the reference in your project, if you're a new project, you have the problem of you have a copycat, you know, you are really inside of that. If you are so far away, you have a lot of explanation to give to others the link between the new project and the reference. And then the project must to be, the reference must to live in the project as a ghost, in the middle of that, in the middle of the new project, as a ghost, as something that your intuition give the sensation that could be there, but it's not, you know. This project is, we call the Prisma House. Here you have the terrace of Nara Temple. Here you have to pay attention how they touch, they touch the ground, you know, how they really get this flat plane for the temple, and then they keep the ground without touching it. Here you have the Prisma House by Shinohara. And the picture that always we know, Shinohara works about this, and this is part of the studio of this studio on research, if you want, or nothing. It's some of the ideas about this house that is really, really incredible. But Shinohara always show, we want to get from this house just what Shinohara show. Shinohara show always in the pictures this part of the house, never the total, because this house is a real Prisma, 720 by 720, and we repeated this house, this Prisma house in the middle. This part of the house we repeated, and reinterpreted, redraw some of the proportion of this. Some of the structure of this. And this is the room that you saw before. We take it from this one. And then with these three structure, we collapse this structure on this terrace. You know, we did the terrace, bringing from Nara house. We just using the piece of Prisma house that Shinohara of 1974, and we reduced this structure that you could find in the rooms that I showed you before. These are the models that we did, and the scale of this. We used this because two ideas. One is the best way to touch the landscape. The second is because we could put together 2 or 3 things. Reference means always for us in Chile, for me in Chile, is to have a dialogue or a conversation with others that they are far away from me. That is the way that I feel inside of an history, you know. And this is a model again, and this is the place, you know. You could see the house here, and this is a lava river on the bottom. Again, why 2 volumes? Because it's really easy to understand. There's a family for two persons, eight children, you know. 8 children mean coming from 2 families that the parents is getting together, but 8 children, no two families separate but joined, and it was incredible. With 8 people, man, the fathers want to be alone, and it's another volume for the children that go. Children are not really small, you know, and they could do the party, and the terrace is part of this platform of these activities, you know. This is the main floor of the room. Here is the relation with the landscape. Here again, and here is a partition in 2 families at the top. You know, 1 room one side, 1 room the other, really long ones. And this is the room of the fathers, in the Prisma house. And this is the lava river in front of these beautiful windows. Here you have the picture of Constant. It's about reference. You know, how to work about reference. Again, the dialogue with others. Constant is part of Den Haag Kunstmuseum. Ask Marcela and me to produce a permanent pavilion in a corner, in a hidden corner in the museum. You know, it is a corner, and they call Secret Garden. The beautiful of this museum that they have a part of the archive by Constant, where he developed the New Babylon in the 60s and 50s, 60s, and at the beginning of 70s, you know. And this archive is incredible. They have a big collection of that. Our collection in Chile, the collection of Fundación de Arquitectura Frágil, part of this document, we start to collecting radical architecture in 18 years ago, more or less, and the first document that we collected was part of the document by Situationism. And part of them was some drawings and some documents by Constant. For me, was some of the places that I have to visit, because it was really important for me. And Constant think about New Babylon like as a dynamic labyrinth. Dynamic labyrinth means for him some structure that always moving, shifting, transforming in something else. You know, they are not really stable. And he did a lot of image of these spaces and atmosphere, you know. But he always said this is not the final atmosphere, because I could not reproduce, because it must be do it by the New Babylon's people, you know. And because when we have to propose a secret garden for the museum, we said with Marcela, that maybe we have to represent this atmosphere as a photo, as a instantaneous photo of this ambience. We don't have to represent the dynamic labyrinth, because it's not true, but we could represent the atmosphere of this ambience that propose Constant. You could see all on this imagine a fragile scaffolding of lines and panels, if you want. No end space. You always have more space and more space, that like a carcere di invenzione di Piranesi. No end space, no random geometry, and form some translucent light. No reflected light, you know. On the right, you have some models by Constant, and at the model of Constant, you could find really easily found objects, not pieces of some objects, pieces of a structure that he used to do. All of this is because he wants to bring complex spaces, and spaces that you really could not, not really drawing, because when you drawing, you fix it on the space. And there are a few technical drawings of these kind of things, And then to produce this complex shape, it's better to get some instrument that you could have around you. And these are the cutting patterns of Burda review, you know. It's really beautiful because the cutting patterns, you could get a lot of forms that you could never get by yourself. They are really incredible. We use this cutting pattern with cutting patterns from in a Serpentine gallery, you know, in the Serpentine Pavilion. We have this form of torus that is really stable by itself, but we have to open it. Opening a torus is really difficult. It's not really easy to have a window there. And then we said, okay, let's go to apply these forms. That always is going to be okay because they are weird, you know, and we apply on the surface. And we don't have to invent the forms. We have to invent. We have to resolve the problem of the scale of the holes and just the position. You reduce the problems in a lot of. You reduce the problem a lot. And then the final composes is that. And the other things that we did in this case is we add some other holes because we have to reduce the budget and to have to reduce the surface of fiberglass, you know. And then all of these things that could appear really freedom are not really, you know. And then for this project of the secret garden in Den Haag Museum, with this we did this beautiful catalog of forms, bringing from cutting patterns that you could find on the web, you know, and we tested some of these forms, some of this shape. For the final shape of we test more or less 5 of them, just to try to bring a complex space that have to represent the idea that Constance has as a photograph, as atmosphere of these spaces. Finally, we choose one of these that we could have on the top. And after that, we choose this for a small house in the beach. You know, it's another project that we have to do. We are start to do it. We have this both. We have to choose this because these forms give you the possibility that you don't have to think in the shape. You have to think just about the materiality. Or all of the things comes together, you know. It's not something I have to explain in this way, but it's here you could see the plan of the pavilion and the elements, you know, a big edges around it that exist. They are really solid and massive one, green limits for the pavilion, you know. The access is here near to the bathrooms. The bathroom inside of this part of the museum. The doors is there, and then you have some panels of acrylic panels of 20 millimeter of wide. The ground floor is just grass, and this is orange, and this is polycarbonate, but it's mirror polycarbonate panels here, but they are solid volume, you could not see through. The supporting structure is a random inox columns of 20 millimeters thick, and on the top you have acrylic of 30 millimeters thickness, and a lighting on the top, a red lighting of LEDs. We suppose we are going to create this kind of atmosphere. I'm not really sure about that because I could not test this object, really. I mean, we have to build a lot of, right now we have to develop the details and everything, and I think we are going to test another kind of forms again, you know. But this is going to be we think this is going to be the atmosphere that we want to show. And this is the lighting from outside. Okay. another idea of reference, you know. When in 2020, the European community talked to us to do a pavilion, not a pavilion, an installation. Marcela and me called us to do a pavilion in the middle of this beautiful place. This place is in the island in Croatia, that the name is Krk. The near village is Baska. It's a beautiful, incredible place. And when they sent us these pictures, they asked us to do something, you know, a tower or something like this to see more far away, you know. This idea is not really clever but it's really clever for the architect because they could have really beautiful pictures of a tower in the middle of this beautiful landscape, you know. But it's not really clever for the ground, for the landscape by itself. We felt that we don't have to touch this ambience, and it was really. We really want not damage the landscape. When I appear this image, it's just coming to my mind this image that I have in our collection, the 5 city by Super Studio, you know. Why it's coming? Because but the reference is really near, you know, if you have the reference around you. And this is really important about the reference, that you don't have to looking for reference. The reference is around you always. And then because that is really important to travel and to see many things, because it's coming, but to see things with an obsession, with a point of view, not just to have information around it. But it was really impressive to have this material, this image, because here we have the key of how could not damage the landscape. This sphere, the city, the name of this city is the city of the hemisphere. This history is long. There are many people sleeping under this panel of crystal panel, sleeping, but living in a sleeping way. And the brain of these people is connected with this sphere that floating around it, you know. And it's connected. And for example, when 2 people want to do the love, make love is like this, you know. They do it like that, but the love is not something to reproduce a life, because the life is not necessary because they live forever. It's because the pleasure, you know. It's super studio way to understand, I think. But for me, was the important thing is the materiality on the unmateriality of these spheres, and we said, okay, we have to try to reproduce this kind of artifact that touch and not touch the landscape. They just they just feel that they are strange. You could really read the limits of them, but at the same time they are not. They don't damage the space. You know, you feel they are natural, but they are really artificial. Then you have two volumes. We put 2 volumes, we call drops. 2 volumes of glass, solid glass, you know, of more or less 300 kilos each one. To this place you could not go with car or whatever. You have to walk for 1 hour from the Basca village, you know, and then you have to think in the construction about how to go with something there. Then the towers are not clever idea too, because there are a lot of problem about that. And then we put back Mr. Fuller with his own helicopter help us to do. And this is a process that you could see, the process of the glass that they made in Austria. And this is the process of the setup of the volumes. And we did this. One is near to the spring water, just really close to there. And the other one is a little far away. One is here, and the other one is here. Again, they have to be as a ghost. You have to discover in the middle of the landscape. They don't have to damage the landscape. These are... here again, the sensation of floating in the middle of the landscape. If you remember the hemisphere of Super Studios, it's more, for me, it's more or less the same sensation. Then references are important for me, but the references are important in the sense that you get from them some ideas, not some ideas that you could, again, to have a new read about this idea. Yeah, swollen body, swollen body is about, it's about ugliness again, This is a Bruegel pictures. It's really beautiful with this eyes of the blowfish has the idea of dead inside. It's incredible. And I want to talk about swollen body and the inflatable ones, that it was an obsession that and I did something about this with some models before, but one of the models that I did, it was this. It was a model that I used to represent the Selfish Castle, the Jan Selfish Castle by the wild history, We made with this model by papier mâché, and then the house of the house of the right angle. It's coming from there. Of course, the Serpentine Gallery just is coming from this model, but. This is when made is a fair. This design fair in Sao Paulo asked me to do a furniture. It was really. They gave me an award and they pushed me to do furniture for the fair, for the design fair, and I was really uncomfortable because I don't have this kind of movement in my head to produce a really furniture, it's not really easy to do it. But I remember this picture, a raft. When you want if you want a raft. I mean, the inflatable structure has an old history. For example, this raft. If you want a raft, you have to get an animal, kill them to empty it. Take out all of the things and close the holes. And then blow inside, and that's it. You have a raft for yourself, and you could travel in a river, And it's and it is really weird to think the nature in that way. And then when the maid in Sao Paulo asked me to do something, appear this sensation of raft, and appear to this obviously in again the ugliness of this pollution by Lina Bobardi, really beautiful. It's a pretty ugliness, It's a really beautiful. It's a big object like this, so maybe 180 meters. It's really beautiful. And then I tried to do a giant sofa room that I call in that way. And with this model, I produced this raft. Just and we want to. I imagine this in a rubber inflatable structure, like a raft that you could put in the middle of a public space. The model was not so successful. It was 2 weeks of construction. And the techniques I don't have the real techniques that you have to do this. But I think the idea is not bad. I think I could do it later. But the idea of the atmosphere of this raft is like this. Something that you could put in the middle, for example, in an airport, and many people could support inside that to be inside of something, but outside at the same time. But I'm showing this because last year I made this refuge for the Andes Mountains on the south. They want a project that they want. They need a private foundation asked me to do a shelter for the Andes Mountains to repair people when they are in middle of a storm, and they have some beautiful places that they have to set up these volumes. Obviously, they never built because the politics, the people who are in charge of the park, or Torres de Paine, that is really known all around the world, they want a small house, not as a refuge, not something weird, you know. But it was really beautiful, the process. Here you have another raft. I will show some images about this. This is a raft that came from the culture, Changos culture, that many years that I was studying for a book that I'm trying to do. And this is the part of the raft, you know. This is a single raft for one fisherman that have to fish whales, you know. Here you have some documents about the raft, around the whales, how is the proportion, how they imagine, and how they represent this fight between the nature and the man. And here you have, this raft is made in by 4 sea lions, you know? You have 1 lion here, 1 lion here, 1, 2, 3, 4. They cut the head and they join both together, and they have 2 floats for 1 fisherman. The last one was made in 1965, and it was represented in this plan, in this plans, you know. This image collapsed with this image. Is a marraqueta bread, you know. It's, I love I will not explain too much, but it's a bread. It's not more than this. But I love this way of construction. 1, 2, 3, 4. They join 2 bowls together, and they have to join all of them, and formally, and then they put this beautiful cutter in the middle, this thick of wood, and they just give the forms of the shapes, you know. With these 2 images, we start to work. This was the first image, you know, of our refuge. You know, because they don't like the refuge at the end, but this was the second one, and this was the first model that we did. And it was just inflatable models. We use inflatable PVC as models. You know, I'm gonna. And this is the last model. This is the refuge that we propose to use in the middle of the mountain. This is a refuge where 6 people could be inside in one moment. Again, the idea doesn't touch the terrain, you know. You have just point of touch the terrain, and this steel must be anchored in the granite. Here you have the process, you have the structure. You have a PVC mold or a PVC bag, you know. You have to blow in the PVC is there. You have to blow in and then put fiberglass inside, outside, and take out the PVC and then cut in pieces and move to the place. The place is more or less 2,000 meters high. We did more or less the same in the Serpentine Pavilion, but we don't have money to produce these things, and we just bought these kind of things. We want to buy these things. It's we call guatero, but it's a tank, PVC tank of water that they use a lot in the north of Chile. And then with this bag, you could have the final forms without manipulate too much, and you don't need really to produce another shape by computers or by 3D printed. You know, you have around you. These are the part of the model. This is a final model. This is exactly the place that we want to put it in. You know, I think it was beautiful. I don't know. It's weird, but not bad. And we always want to. Again, this conversation with others, you know, we want to. This is a beautiful living pot by David Green in the middle of Piranesi, lithograph, and this pod is a really amazing project, that you know better than me, and we want to produce the same idea of, and we put our pod in the middle of Carceri by Piranesi, and we put David Green here, and we put Bruegel there, and our pod here. It's a homage to all of the reference that we have, and again we have these two eyes inside of the volume where 6 people have to still alive in the middle of the storms. This is another kind of things, but this is, you could go there. This is Old Bond Street, installed by Alexander McQueen. We started to work with them maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I'm not going to explain this. You could go to the place if you want, but it's really, for us, it was really amazing way to understand the architecture, because for them you have to create a vocabulary. They call always concept, but at the end it's a vocabulary. It's a way how to move around the space. I was really lucky. We worked with Mark Pinney studio here in London, and it was really fantastic to try to work. And the final idea is to have a domestic labyrinth, something that the beauty, it doesn't have to be an aura, and you could see and you could touch all of the things. And then fashion design, art, architecture, and the clients and the staff, all of using the same space, and they could touch the things. And then the trip around these spaces, it's a really labyrinth. You have to do your own trip around it. These are the store in Miami. This is in Milano. This other is in Miami. We repeated the same elements, but always the space and the character of the space change depending of where there is, But I want to talk about Alexander McQueen in another way, Last year, 2022, at the beginning, I think, Sarah Burton called me to do an exhibition pavilion in London. She named it London Sky. It was a really beautiful idea, because it's to get London from other side to think it. And we start our conversation by Zoom. The first is to talk about the site. Where is the precise size to represent this idea of a skyline, of a sky, of London, etc., etc. And in the conversation, Sarah proposed me two kind of spaces, one on the park and one on the top of the roof. I said, top of the roof, absolutely, because it's coming to my mind this beautiful image by John Kaplicki that he did in the studio of Richard Rogers, And in this image, Kaplicki contrasts at the end of the 60s the primitive systems of columns, slabs, and walls, brick walls, with standard buildings with opposite with the future present that he represents with this unique carcass or unique structure that Beetle car could bring him. Then you have this contrast of the future, the present future and the past, and he talked about the structure, and he talked about how has to be the space, at the end of 60s. We start to work on it. We said, okay, we choose the site, not far away from here. It came this Friotto ambience and the idea of parachute. We create at the end a bag, and we inflated a bag, and after that we put some cords and some cables to because it was because if we want to use crystal PVC, something really transparent, but this crystal is so elastic, and then you have to control the structure, the area of the expansion of this area of construction, and then we put these cords around on this a random way to. It's not really random, but it's okay. We could say it's a random shape of this cord, of the geometry of this cord, and we inflated this bag. But after that, we in the joint of each cord, each cable, we put tension on to one point in the middle of the building. You know, all of these cables came to one point to have a pre-stressed membrane and to have a stable volume. You know, this is really stupid idea, because when you want to have an inflatable volume or an inflatable bag, you want to achieve an free space. And if you put cables in the middle, it gives you a not flexible space. But it's really amazing, because give to the space a sensation give to the space a character, you know. The structure is not something that is far away. This is coming into your own space, like more or less Shinohara used this kind of argument. But it's coming from the same your space, and give character to the shape, to the final shape. At the end, we produce these volumes in the top of this parking building, and I think it was really successful. I think it was really beautiful at the end. You know, it's was a beautiful day with many kind of sky in the same days. It's really London sky. You know? This idea to put something on the roof, I did before with this circus in the middle of Santiago, you know, and I put this roof because the local government doesn't want to. They did not permit us to build something on the top of the building, and then we said, okay, we are going to build a circus, we are going to set up a circus, and a circus is not a permanent building, and they say, okay, you could do it, and we produce these things. But the circus that you could put in any place, you know, you could move it. With the same with the London Sky that we produced in Greenwich place, in the Royal Naval buildings, you know. It's and it's really, it was really incredible to see. It's so weird when you could see your own architecture in different places, you know, the same structure. It's not really common. And here works really good too. And the sky was really clean as it was the buildings. It was beautiful, looking to inside, you know, what's happened inside, you know. This is another project that we never built. Again, the reference to Jan Kaplicki structure, mobile one, and we could not do it because it was, the budget of the crane was absolutely incredible, and we could not rent them. But it's, again, McQueen gave me a lot of challenge to produce new things, and that is really good, you know. But anyway, maybe I'm gonna. These are the last project. Not these. It's gonna be the last project that it will show you. This is our gallery that we inflated inside of this gallery a bag, and the bag is coming outside because it's more than the space. Because it was the 40 years, the celebration of the 40 years of this gallery in the middle of downtown in Chile, just 1 hour from just 1 minute from the Palace of Government, and this was the project with Milo, you know, and this coming into into the public space. I mean, you could have a lot of these kind of images in the 60s, you know, and it's so beautiful, this sensational invasion of inside of the public space. And then you could have some inside of the gallery. You have some objects, you know, that it's not really easy to set up the objects inside, but it was good, I think. Again, the architecture and the art in the same level, not something on back of the other one. This is the last project, but I just have to say about this that we used it's a bubble that we did in Santiago, and it coming from a lot of we call guatero. Guatero is a hot bag that you use to heat in your bed when you go in the middle of a rural space here. You are really freezing. You made in a hot water. In a bag, hot water, and you could heat it. I don't know if here existing, but there in Chile we call guatero. The people call guatero in the spatial guatero, something like this, when we build it. But guatero is a pavilion, was produced for the Biennale of Architecture last January, this January. It was a hall for 350 people for 10 days, 2 hours a day of working, of performance, and we spent 35,000 euros for this. The square meters, more or less, it's about more than 500 or 600 square meters, something. The volume is huge ones, but this water came from a long family of a huge, amazing plastic bag, inflatable. Andy Warhol, you know, but here Ant Farm, Graham Stevens, UFO, group Utopia in France. Many people use that. You know. All the solutions you could find are in a catalog that group, Utopia group, used in 1968 for exhibition that they did in Paris. All the solutions are there. The develop of this kind of structure is just on, I could say it's just on the membranes and the performance of the materiality of that, you know. We use global foil. Global foil is how do you say, a wrap bubble plastic in the middle and with 2 layers of mylar, you know. We want to use gold mylar, but we don't have time to take from China, and then we use silver mylar. And then you have the same surface exterior, the same surface from exterior and from interior. It's really metallic. It's like the intervention by Andy Warhol was. No calculation, no engineering calculation, no plans, final plans, just sketches on a book, no tested materials in themselves. We didn't. We don't have time for that. We just tested the whole of the structure 3 times. The 3 times failed. The last one was just 1 week before the opening, you know, and we were so stressed because of that. We thought it's going to be collapse, and we understand that the problem, of course, the problem is the wind and the resistance of the wind. When you have a blow structure, you have to be worried about that, and we know that if the wind is coming more than 45 kilometers per hour, we have to go down with the structure. If the performance inside, they have to go out, and that's it, you know. And that was we tested in a grass field. But we put the beautiful of this. We put this in front of the government palace in the middle of downtown. The government palace is this one. Huge one. It's a institution, and there is a big. This is the main street in Santiago, and our bubble is here, and these are the plans that we did when we was building it. We this as built these plans, and this is the final idea. I think it's the way to work in this kind of things is you work in the limits of insecurity, more to work in the limits of security. To work on the limits of insecurity, Andrea Branzi, when talk about arte povera, talk a lot about these limits of insecurity, open a lot of new roads that you could follow in. And I think we did this this structure in a primitive way, you know. We did as in the 60s did, you know, maybe we are on the 60s right now in Chile, you know, but looks like really cool, you know. It's so funny because and Switzerland people came to me to bring this to Switzerland and said, never, you could not do it in Switzerland because here in London you need 5 escapes, you know. We have 1 and just manual, you know, you have to do like this, 1 people just doing like this. Here in London you need 5 for the same surface, and then you could not do it, and they don't understand too much because it looks really cool, but it's not. And the technique is really about the mylar that you could see there, the global foil, and then the joints. In between the joints we have a gap with this, a gap of just with tape, of nylon tape with a small fiberglass, 5 layers of this scotch. Then the blowing, and then normally on the process of these limits of insecurity appear some structure more beautiful than the ended results. You know, these beautiful movements. It's really difficult to keep it, to be stable and to be secure. It's gonna work. But it's really beautiful, the sensation of lightness and inside of this space. This is the movement of the real structure. This is not the real shape, but the real movement with 15 kilometers of wind from outside. You know, it's a little bit moving always. You are always inside, and we set up a random TV all around it. You don't have just one point of view. You have many possibilities to put random, and sometimes it was successful, some others not. And then here you have all of the interior. These are really real. You know, this is sensational. It is really real. Then this is the final shape that it was the manifest of this conference. Thanks a lot. I believe in architecture, devouring architecture. I believe architecture as a field of decantation. And this is my studio as our prototype of devouring architecture. Just look into outside of the window. Thank you so much.